Now, France says the Niger junta has no authority to expel its ambassador to the country, Sylvain Ite. Niger military on Friday gave France ambassador 48 hours to vacate the country for refusing an invitation to meet with the junta-appointed foreign minister. The foreign ministry said the actions of the French government were contrary to the interests of Niger. Well, France said the Niger's junta have no authority to expel its ambassador in Niamey. France said it is constantly evaluating its embassy's security and operating conditions. The French President Emmanuel Macron had demanded the release of Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum, who was detained on July 26 in a military coup led by the former commander of Niger's Presidential Guard, Abdurrahman Chiani. We have in the studio Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, who's Deputy Dean, School of Postgraduates at Bayes University here in Abuja. Good to see you, Professor, and thanks for your time. It looks, more like one week, one trouble, but now it looks like a daily occurrence. Now, we Nigeria talking about the expulsion of the French envoy. What does this mean to the dynamics of what ECOWAS is trying to pursue, talking about more deliberation with the junta?
But I think there are two different things. You know, there's the African face being pioneered by ECOWAS, where our president is the chairman, and of course there is the international face being championed by the West, probably led by France because of their vested interest in Niger. But what should interest us more, the one I think that will be more effective is the ECOWAS one, you know. Other than they tried to use force, everything else ECOWAS have done, you know, have been done right, you know. And of course, we are sort of you know, coming down now, you know, with our president, chairman of ECOWAS, saying that dialogue, diplomacy will take the forefront, and with the involvement of non-state actors, like the Muslim ulamas, you know, we hope to achieve some mileage in the near future. But I also doubt if the junta will want to change their mind, you know, because in this circumstance we're talking about ego, we're talking about pride, and we're talking about their selfish interest. Their interest is to seize power, to remain there for as long as possible. Yes, they have said 3 years. The other thing we should be hoping to achieve now is to see if we can get them to leave, you know, less than the 3 years that they are talking about, and maybe 1 year. But to ask them out it's going to be very, very difficult, you know, because their pride and prestige will be at stake. And do not forget, they also have some vested interest. What about the complications of the entity that they also want to protect, you know? Those are the things that can be talked about, that can be negotiated, that can be discussed, you know, that can be conversed upon, such that we can have a lasting peace relatively in that country. But for France, I don't know. That's another area that I think we have to be very careful, because it seems to be snowballing, and we just hope that it will not degenerate further. We do not forget that France, of course, we all know this, is a stronger power than Niger. Let it not turn into an open confrontation, and that can be very, very disastrous, and will eventually prevent the intervention of ECOWAS as well, because ECOWAS is towing the line of peace now, the line of dialogue, and that can be complicated, you know, if France become increasingly belligerent in trying to resolve the Nigerian crisis.
Because I think you've been able to set it up out here now, because we're talking about two critical issues now facing the Nigerians, one within the ECOWAS sub-region and the other one with their former colonial masters. But again, let's bring it back to what President Tinubu has said. The ulamas are going in, and the Nigerians have also clarified that rumor making the rounds that they've not expelled other ambassadors. Isn't that indicative that they are open to that dialogue that ECOWAS is already pursuing?
Absolutely. That's actually a welcome development. It means that, you know, they defer to the Nigerian authorities. You know, Nigeria is not included. They have said it. And of course, the fact that there was a report in the first instance that the Nigerian envoy has been expelled is something to be expected when in the age of disinformation, in the age of misinformation, and when there's crisis like this, you expect these elements to thrive some more. But it's also good that the authorities in Niger have come to clarify it. You to provide the explanation that they never did this, but only for France, But what is more, it just tells us that they are not averse to further discussion, as long as they probably will have something to take home in the circumstance. And what can they take home now? Maybe a safe way for them to exit, because the adventure they are on is a very dangerous one. Most times they may not even come out alive from it. But what safe pathway can they create for them? So that they can step down, bring in another political leader, civil leader, as the case could be, and let's continue to have democracy once more in that country. But it's a welcome development overall that pressure is continuing on Niger, because if you look at that belt, that African belt, you see military adventurers all over that side, and it's not a good development for Africa in an age where we're talking about increased representation and inclusion in governance processes and procedures.
Well, there have been a lot of crises on the continent. We just experienced the Ethiopian Tigrayan crisis. We're also experiencing that in the Sudan, and that is why the French angle is very, very worrisome now. But again, quickly here, the president Mohamed Bazoum, that is in custody, is very important here. How do they navigate this very delicate situation so as to get him out safe and alive?
It's a very complex thing, really, and that's why there was a groundswell of opinion in the first instance against the use of force, because if you're going to use force, the first person they will take out, God forbid, will probably be the former president, and of course they also know that they may not come out alive. He that is down or that knows that it's going to be down will definitely fear no fall, and they might go for broke, rocking the boat, So it's just good that we charted a new course, the path of peace, dialogue, diplomacy, lobbying, and of course using other institutions that link us up because of our common histories and ancestries, religion, culture, and language, using them, coming to that road to talk to them so that they can maybe reason better and move away from their path, their hard-headed path of saying that they want to continue in power. This is an integrated approach to resolving crisis, resolution. And I think the tone is changing now. What we need to do is just to continue on this path, force out of it, diplomacy, dialogue. Of course, we can double down on these machineries. And I don't think that they are human beings after all, but do not forget what I said. At the end of the day, they want, to imagine the path that will be created for them. How safe would they be? How would they be able to protect their pride, their prestige, their interest? And that will come if we are able to agree on how long they should stay. They have said 3 years. 3 years, in our opinion, is too much. Maybe that's
so that's a window to negotiate.
That's a window to negotiate, because you cannot take them out with nothing in their hands. Whether rightly or wrongly, they have the machinery of power in their hands. They have their ammunitions. They've taken over by force. If they don't have these weapons in the first instance, they will probably not have taken over. So you cannot discountenance them. As the case could be, what you need to do is to talk to them. And do not forget that there's a proverb that says that when you have a weapon in your hand, that's where you begin to look for who was it that probably killed your father. They have that weapon in their hands now, and what they need to do, what they're asking for, is whoever wants to talk to them should sit around the table with them and let's talk things out. How are we going to come out of this place? You cannot disgrace us out. How much time are you going to give us? That's the platform, that they have created, and that's the platform I think we need to meet them on.
Professor Abiodun, many thanks for your time.